It's interesting. There's something that I think about, like when you're asking what do we do? If we think about the psychology of people who have done fundamental pioneering and fundamental invention and discovery, they don't ever get to ask anyone else how to do what they're doing. Right? Like that's intrinsic to the nature of figuring out new stuff, is that you can't ask anyone else how to do it. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't learn from a tremendous amount of stuff and stand on the shoulders of giants. But then if you're Newton, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You're making sure you've learned those things, but you're also then advancing the edge. And there's a kind of psychology that is necessary to be willing to work at something that nobody can tell you how to do. And that there's no precedent in a history of smart people at figuring out. And it's not hubris, it's just a depth of care that can't turn away. And there's like I can't not focus on this. So even though I have no idea if I'll succeed, I still have to be working on it. And, I think that growing up as kids, most of us got most of our praise from doing things that the authorities wanted us to do and that had already been figured out. So we got the right answer to answers in Sunday school that the teachers had already predetermined what the right answer was, or in actual school where we figured out how to spell or math or whatever, or winning a game where the rules of the game were set, or doing the chores where we didn't really have a say in the nature of how the house was designed. And so we get all this praise for doing things that are already figured out that someone else tells us to do. And almost all the times we got punished were for doing something that we wanted to do. And so there's a very deep psychological program that is running that has to be unwound, because that psychology is itself one of the generator functions of the problem. It keeps people perpetuating the existing systems. And so, if someone asks me, well, what should I do? I'm more interested in the meta question of like, how do you... I can share some things with you, and a number of people can share some things with you, but how do you navigate sovereignty in a way that says, when I come to the edge of things that aren't known, how do I figure out what to do? How do I discover stuff as opposed to do stuff that somebody else told me is the thing to do? Like there's a psychological shift there that is really critical. So that's one thing. And coming together with other people that are also really earnestly endeavoring to figure out how to do things that they care about that aren't currently known, and figuring out how to actually collaborate in that together. So how to be in it ourselves and how to collaborate with others in it. And this actually requires a mature relationship with certainty and uncertainty, where I can sit in uncertainty about something that's really consequential. I don't know how to solve the problems of the world. Yes, it really matters. I don't know how to solve even this particular problem. Yes, it matters. But I can sit in the uncertainty, which also means the uncomfort of it, so that I don't just have to distract myself with something else or default to a quick answer that's the wrong answer because I need some certainty. So there's a psychological willingness to sit in the discomfort of that uncertainty. But there's also a psychological willingness to go through the epistemic process to bring about enough certainty to act. So it's easy for us to be very uncomfortable with uncertainty and want certainty. Fundamentalism of all kinds does that. But it's also very easy for us to kind of do the postmodern move and be uncomfortable with any certainties and be sure that all certainty is imperialism and only need to rest in uncertainty, which means we never have an epistemic basis for good choice. And so a mature relationship to reality knows that there is knowable and unknowable stuff. And within the knowable, there's mostly unknown and some known. And that even the known, my epistemic confidence margin is not 100%. And yet there are better confidence margins than others as a basis for action. And a mature relationship to all that says that I can sit with uncertainty and I can sit with certainty both comfortably. emotionally so that I'm not being emotionally biased one way or the other. And I can explore what is the right process to bring about a particular confidence margin
Mm.
for the certainty to act.